Alright guys, today's video is going to be longer than normal. It's not a review, it's not a what I like, don't like. It is strictly a tutorial on how to install the bed reinforcement brackets that you have to get if you want to put anything heavy up above the bed of your truck. So there you go. If you don't want to watch 20 minutes of me fumbling around with my truck trying to get these things installed, check out some other videos. If you are getting these load box reinforcements and you don't want to pay the additional $192 to have them installed by Ford, you can do it on your own. I would say set aside 2.5, 3 hours. It is not the easiest. Hopefully this video will help you get through it quicker, but it took me close to 3 hours to get this all done. Today in the mail, I got my load box reinforcement brackets from Ford. These are for the bed of the Ranger Raptor. They have different versions for the Raptor and then the regular Ranger. The Raptor ones are actually $10 less expensive, which is pretty awesome. Everything else about the truck's more expensive, but the load box reinforcement is less expensive. So it comes with the left and the right. And I'm going to make sure I actually have two separate ones because these, yep, they're opposite. So I have a left and a right. And then it comes with the instructions and it comes with a bag of stuff. They give you 4 big old zip ties, 1 zip tie with a little clip on it. This is what I was talking about when I was installing the lights in the back. So I need to figure out where I can get a bunch of these to hide some. But anyway, they do exist. This is a zip tie with a clip to go into a hole. And then 2 threaded rods. These are going to go on the back side so that the bolts can thread into this. And then you've got all the rivets and the scrivets and everything you need. So a scrivet is a plastic screw rivet. So these just go in and out. And then they also provide the replacements for the actual rivets. So you will need a rivet gun, but you don't need to go buy rivets because you do have to drill out 4 rivets in order to do this. And then they've got all the bolts and the washers, and it looks like a bunch of spare plastic scrivets. I'm not sure why you would need a bunch of spares. I'm not planning on ruining them when I take them out. And then you've got these. These are significant. It's like maybe, I don't know, 1/4 inch steel. It's definitely hefty, no question about it. So happy with this. I'm going to install it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read this, and then every page I'm going to go and put the video together. So load reinforcement brackets, installation instructions, and then it's got a ton of different languages, which is great. So the first thing it shows you the tools you'll need. You'll need 1 human, a 4mm and a 6.5mm drill bit, and that equates to, I think, a 1/4 inch, or which ones? Yeah, 1/4 inch for the 6.5, and then 5/32 for the 4mm. So I've got those 2 drill bits here for drilling out the rivets. They recommend titanium drill bits, whatever's going to drill through the aluminum in the rivets, and then the steel for the outside. So hopefully these will work. These are old drill bits that I have. If I ruin them, I'm not too bent out of shape. So there's that. And then it talks about the rivets you have to drill out. So step number 1, where applicable, remove scrivets and wheel lip molding bolt. And here's a picture of it, and here's me doing it. All right, here we go. So let's do a quick look inside the wheel well. Those are all the scrivets that they're talking about. Scrivet, scrivet. Anyway, lots of scrivets. These are the 2 actual rivets. I'm going to use my standard parts holder right here. Keep this speaker in use because it's kind of worthless as a speaker. So in here, these clips are kind of a pain. If they're really in there, you can get a screwdriver on them as long as you're not putting too much pressure and they're not all gross and gunked up. You can spin them and slowly back it out and it'll come out. But it's one of those weird things where you can't put enough pressure on it this way to get the bit to grip, because then you'll just spin it in there. You have to like have it in there just enough and slowly be pulling it back as it comes out. Kind of a pain, but worst case, they gave us a bunch of extras, so if we break them, we put new ones in. In case anybody's wondering, this thing up here is a mount for my camera. I used it once. The video turned out to suck, so I'm probably going to take it off there. I just haven't gotten out here to take it off and clean it up. Just so you can see what these things are, this little screw part spins inside there, and unless you can get it to actually spin out from here, it's total pain. So I'm able to push it out a little bit. So now without anything in there, it squishes. Once it's in the hole, then this thing spreads it out. And you just push it and you have to screw it in. But this one's kind of trash now, so I'll use one of the new ones. Step number 2, remove bolts on lower wheel lip molding, removing rivets. Slowly drill out the rivets material with a sharp 4mm heavy-duty cobalt drill. Cobalt, not titanium, I apologize. Once the material has been drilled out, drill out the aluminum body of the rivet with a 6.5mm sharp heavy-duty drill. Repeat for the left-hand side. So here's a picture of that, and then here's me doing it. So 10mm bolt down on the bottom of the trim ring. This trim piece, I'm getting that off now. This is taking forever. There we go. Oh, forgot to drill out that rivet, so that's next. So there's a little caution on here that says drill slowly so you don't melt any of the liner in here. So just keep drilling until something cool happens. Well, that's one way to do it. Step 3, carefully pull back the wheel arch lip molding to disengage the molding clips. Disengage barb from rear where possible, generally after step 5, so we'll get to that. Do not remove entire wheel lip molding. Repeat for left-hand side, and then I'm just going to have the picture showing while I read this. And this is me doing it. All right, so these are really weird clips. I want to show you. They're like, I'm going to get them out of there when I get the fender off, but they kind of go around. Well, maybe this isn't, you can see them here. I'm going to show you closer once we get stuff out of here, but I'm not really happy with how much of a pain this is to get off of here. All right, so I've got most of them off. And someone was asking me, how do you get these things off if you wanted to paint it? There's a bolt on the bottom, a 10mm bolt that goes up here. Then you've got clips right here, and then right here, and then a whole bunch in the back. And the ones in the back are if you wanted to put mud flaps on. But anyway, I'm not taking it past this, but the clips are kind of awkward. And then there's one like guide bolt here. I'm hoping I didn't break anything. This is what these clips look like. It's a flat thing on the back. It fits inside the wheel well, and then this thing got bent pretty good, but it'll still be usable. But anyway, I'm going to get all of them out by reaching behind it, pinching this and pushing them out so that I can put them back on this thing, snap it back in when it's time. It's going to be a pain, but better than paying $192. Step 4, remove wheel arch liner scrivets. Repeat for left-hand side, and then it points to them. Here's the picture, and then here's me doing it. So then behind this, you've got a couple more of the scrivets. So you've got one here, one there, one here, and one here. So 4 more that have to come off. I think it's only 4 more. And then I'll be able to get this felt liner to bend away from here. Come on, there we go. Step 6, pull back wheel arch liner and position it behind the wheel. So apparently you can just keep the wheels in because you're going to use that. You're going to fold stuff back and it's going to hold it. That's nice. It says to fold this, bend it back somehow. Ugh, it's so dusty. I tried to clean this after I went off-roading, but apparently I didn't do a good job. It says to tuck it behind the tire. Maybe I need to take 1 or 2 more of the and there is only 1 rivet hole. I don't know why they say there were 2, but for the other side, I'm going to start with a smaller drill bit, I think. And there we go. So I'll start with a smaller drill bit to make sure, because I was a little off center on this one. That's what messed everything up. I wonder if I could even just pull it up over the tire. Maybe that's what they meant to do. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. So last time I pushed it all in, this is a lot better way to do it. Just tuck it up underneath the tire. Step 6, remove the lower wheel arch molding bolts and scrivets. Detach the lower rear arch molding from the vehicle. Repeat for left-hand side. We're going to get this whole thing off of here, so we got to get, looks like a couple bolts hold it. And that's it. So these small look like maybe 8 or 7 millimeter. 8. So 10 millimeter for the bottom, 8 millimeters for these two. One little, and then there's one tiny little clip, but it looks like it's barely even held in there. So easy enough. Step 7. Where applicable, unclip wiring harness clips, right-hand side only. Unclip wiring harness lips from body, left-hand side only. Unclip the fuel hose vent clip from the vehicle, bottom clip only, left-hand side. The instructions said something about a wiring harness. I have not seen any wires yet, so I'm not sure what wiring harness they're talking about, to be honest. Remove the 2 structural bolts from the vehicle frame, and that's on the bottom. Repeat them for the left-hand side. Let me get those bolts out. Holy crap. There we go. So that one was a 10, but the other one's bigger. I don't understand why everything is metric on this truck. There it is. It is a 15 millimeter. An extension thing for this, just a piece of pipe. Get some more leverage. It's kind of awkward. Yeah, I got to get back under it. Can't do it from here. This is super weird. I'm going to say it right now. I should have gloves on, so that when I cut myself, I can say, well, at least I knew I should have had gloves on. Oh, it's turning. 35 minutes in. This is not as quick as I had hoped. And that was step 10. Step 11, cut the corner gussets from the panel. File the edges of the panel to remove any sharp edges. Repeat for left-hand side. Apply automotive etch primer on exposed edges. Repeat for left-hand side. So that's basically just to keep it from rusting. You can't get this thing in there. It gets stuck, so that's why you have to cut it. All right, as with any project, now I've got so many freaking tools out here that I'm gonna have to use a bucket to get them all back inside. So I've got these snips. I'm wondering if they'll work. If not, I have a hacksaw blade and a pair of vice grips. Lots of different ideas. All right. Step 13, insert nut plate into opening and loose fit upper bolt bracket and washer. To hold nut plate in place, do not tighten upper nut or upper bolts. And the reason for that is you've actually got this slot, so you're going to put it loose, you're going to slide it on there, it's going to be in place, then you can put the next one in, but you'll see that when we actually do it. This is next to freaking impossible. So it says to do the top screw, but I can't hold this thing tight enough without having the bottom screw. Now I can get this where I need it and hold it in place, and then I can take the bottom screw out. There we go. Top screws in and holding, so I'm going to take this bottom one back out. If you had a lift, this would be so much easier. But I'm doing it in the driveway, so can you. Step 14. Slide and hook bracket into place over top bolts. Do not tighten upper bolt. Repeat for left-hand side. Loose fit remaining structural bolts. Repeat for left-hand side. And you don't want to tighten any one because you want it to be able to move around. And then once you kind of push it in place, then you tighten them all. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so it goes this way. It makes sense. The rivet has to go in there. 58 minutes. At least now we're in the reinstallation process and not the take apart process. So I'm going to get all these bolts back in and then do the other side and tell you how long it really takes. Now that I've gone through all this pain, I can give you all the inside scoop. Aha, tighten structural bolts in sequence shown in the image torque to the required specifications, repeat for left-hand side. So they show it in order. Here's the picture, and I'm gonna have to go get my torque wrench. I have it with all my bike stuff. I just gotta find it. All right, so it moves around just a little bit. I'm gonna tighten them in the order they say. The numbers, so from inside out, bottom to top. So I've got my torque wrench set. I don't even know if I have enough room. Nope, with the wheel on, I can't even get a torque wrench on here. Maybe this way. This is just wasting time at this point, but I got the wrench. Confident I tightened it enough. Where applicable, refit the wiring harnesses, use the provided zip ties to secure connectors and any loose harnesses as shown in the image, right-hand side only, okay? Step 18, reroute the wiring harness as shown in the image, use the supplied zip tie to secure it into the reinforcement bracket, left-hand side only, go to step 20. Step 19, secure the fuel vent hose using the supplied zip ties ×3 as shown in illustration, left-hand side only, but that says 19 and we're not doing that. During this whole process, I didn't come across a single wiring harness that I had to connect or reconnect or disconnect or anything. It also says 2-liter variant, so not sure what that means. But step 20, install lower wheel arch liner, refit bolts and torque to specifications, refit push pin, repeat for left-hand side. All right, so putting it all back together now. A little clip over here, just gets pushed in. There's a couple little guide holes. Number 21, push wheel arch liner back into position. Repeat for the other side. 22, reinstall the scrivets. Replace any damaged clips on the wheel arch liners. So that's why they give you extra. Repeat for left-hand side. And finally, reinstall wheel lip molding, refit bolt, and fasten to required torques. Repeat for the left-hand side. All right, so one thing I said I was going to do before I get too far is reach up in here and get all of these out. So these are in there. What I'm trying to do is get behind it, pinch these, pull them out so I can clip them back onto this thing. By the time I'm done with this, I'm going to have every one of my tools out here. Can't really reach in here anymore. Stopped being cool like 30 minutes ago. So the way these clips go, you can see, I can't bend it too much more, but there's a spot there, and the clip between the two plastic pieces just snaps in there. And then it's going to go into the hole there. So I'm going to do that on all of them. Just wanted to show you how they actually work. I did not do the last steps in order. As you can see, I'm putting the wheel arch back on, but I didn't put the liner in, so I have to take it all apart, put the scrivet, there's 4 scrivets in the liner, I gotta put that back up before I can put this in. So if I didn't make all these mistakes, I would have been done a lot sooner. Done minus the rivet. I'll do that later. 1 hour, 43 minutes. That was painful. I think the other side will be under an hour because I made a lot of stupid mistakes, but I'll get it right on the next side. I had to go to Harbor Freight to get a rivet gun because these rivets are bigger than the standard size rivets that fit in the guns you can get at Lowe's or Home Depot. So this is a full size and it is kind of a pain to fit in here. Even with the tire off, it would not quite work. So I'm just not able to do the full extension of this thing. I'm seeing if I can make this work. Seems to be pulling it. Every time you back it out a little bit, you just shove it on there a little more. This is, the brand is Doyle. It's getting tougher. Ah, there we go. So that's how it ends when you finally get the rivet out. And it's actually because it pulls it all the way in, then it breaks it. So when you get it down to the bottom, it pulls that pin out of it, and that thing is super secure in there. You can see it in there. It's not going anywhere. It's nice and tight. So it worked. Be ready for it when it breaks. So once it's done, it drops in this little container here. This is the box. It's a Doyle 13-inch heavy-duty professional hand riveter. Works really great. The first one I bought was like the handle thing, and it can fit up to 5/32, I think. And you need to be able to do 1/4 inch. So that's what this is on here, is the 1/4 inch, and that's what fits perfectly. So this is a 1/4 inch rivet that comes with it. Fits right in there, and then you lift it all the way up, it drops it in, then you start cranking it. I'm not gonna do this one because I have to use it, but I'm happy with this thing. And then once it's kind of full and you've got, like, if you did a whole bunch of them, all of your pins are in there to throw away. So I like this thing, works pretty well. Normally I don't go to Harbor Freight, just from like the 90s when there wasn't a ton of good stuff, but I walked around in there for, well, I don't want to say a ton of good stuff. A lot of it is, I don't know, I would say lower quality, but it seems like it's doing a lot better. I bought some scaffolding from Harbor Freight that lasted forever. I bought a tile saw from Harbor Freight that I used for 13 years and it just kept working. So maybe that's a thing of the past. I got this. I'm looking at that Badlands off-road jack. It's like 250 bucks, but seems pretty awesome. The reviews are good. But anyway, this is not a Harbor Freight review. This is the rivet gun you're gonna need to get those rivets back in once you drill them out.
It's over!